Tonight on To The Point, a growing encampment.
They told us, keep putting in 311 requests. We've been doing that for years, and it's going unheard.
Homeowners are upset while homeless advocates say failed policies are to blame. Is anything being done to help? Plus, campus protests continuing into the weekend as arrests continue. The heated clashes between protesters and police.
Another storm system moving in for the weekend. How much rain we're looking at in the valley and how much snow we'll see in the Sierra.
And later on the back roads, take a ride on the world's last remaining cable car system that's in the Bay Area.
And we're starting with breaking news tonight. This is To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. Let's take you straight out to the scene in Solano County right now. Here's what we know so far. You're going to be looking at I-80 right now. Here it is. Take a look at this. This is a live look at I-80 in Solano County right now. CHP still in the middle of a standoff. This has been going on for hours now. Right now, flashbangs were being used and the car's windows were being broken to try to gain access to whoever might be inside this car. Now, right now, both directions of I-80 are still closed at Green Valley Road, and traffic is backed up for miles on the interstate and the back roads of this area. So let's go ahead and take a look at some video from earlier this afternoon. Officers say this all started around 11 this morning in the Santa Rosa area when the driver allegedly shot at someone. The other driver's back window was shattered, but they were not hurt. CHP officers later found the wanted driver in a shopping center, and that's when the chase happened. The CHP officers tried several times to use spike strips to stop the driver with no success, and the car stopped after losing a tire. And it's not clear yet how many people are inside the car. We do have a crew on the way to the scene. They are also stuck in all of this traffic, and they're just trying to get to a safe place where they can report on this situation. So as soon as we get more information, we will let you know on air and online at abc10.com. All right, in our homelessness crisis, neighbors along a North Sacramento bike trail are fed up with issues from a nearby homeless camp. They reached out to us saying that they have been asking the city and the county for help for years now. Now, the area is right off Rio Linda Boulevard near Philippi Way. As ABC 10's Becca Habegger shows us, they are now taking matters into their own hands, even taping off public property.
Signs and tapes around empty fields along the Sacramento Northern Bike Trail in North Sacramento's Robla neighborhood. An unofficial grassroots effort to contain the nearby homeless encampment.
One of the nearby homeowners cleared an area after an encampment left, and they put caution tape around the area, and no one came and reclaimed the space. And so some other neighbors decided, well, let's give that a try. And so far, it's kept people off of that area.
Vicki Updike is one of several neighbors who live along Rio Linda Boulevard near Jesse Avenue and met with ABC 10 Friday afternoon. They shared concerns about this encampment of people experiencing homelessness.
There's drug use, prostitution, and all this illegal activity.
As you can see, there's cars right here. Cars. We're supposed to be walking here. We're supposed to be riding our bikes and walking our dogs. People don't even want to do that no more.
It's like, if we have to follow these laws, why aren't they required to follow these laws?
Neighbors shared photos and videos of safety and sanitation issues stemming from the camp, including grass fires, which they say is a fairly regular occurrence here, plus drug dealing and drug use, sex work, and aggressive behavior.
This would never be allowed in the Fabulous 40s. This would never be allowed in Lamb Park.
Dawn Belly Herrera and her neighbors say they worry this working-class neighborhood and District 2 as a whole don't get the same level of urgency, attention, or services as more affluent areas of the city.
They told us, keep putting in 311 requests. We've been doing that for years, and it's going unheard.
Neighbors say they do see the city and county out here doing cleanup and outreach work on occasion, but it's never enough, and the camp and its problems remain. So ABC 10 took these concerns to the city and county since they work together on homelessness responses. The city says it responds daily to 311 calls in all 8 council districts, and it's acutely aware of community concerns regarding encampments along the Sacramento Northern Bike Trail. The city's incident management team has invested significant resources to the entire bike trail, which remains a high priority area. Dispatches to this location are frequent, with city staff and other partners present nearly every day along the bike trail to engage in outreach and compliance work. Meanwhile, advocates for people experiencing homelessness say this is the result of a broken system.
This is a policy failure on the part of city, county, state, and federal government. And we need to put that blame where it belongs.
Until there are policies that make housing available to everyone, regardless of income, she says we'll continue seeing this.
And as Becca said, we reached out to the city and the county. Sacramento County says its homeless engagement and response team has been out to the bike trail a number of times in the last year and will continue to engage those encampments in the area. They also said in a statement, we understand that neighbors are frustrated. The county behavioral health teams are committed to the long-term engagement needed to gain the trust and agreement from folks that need services, and will continue to work with multidisciplinary teams in the city of Sacramento. Now, tonight, a 7th-month legal battle between the city and county district attorney over homelessness continues. District Attorney Tian Ho sued the city in September over safety concerns with homeless encampments near the courthouse. The lawsuit said the city's failure to enforce its laws about homelessness is a public nuisance. The city is violating the water code by not keeping parks and sidewalks clean from encampments. And the city violates fish and game code by allowing encampments to pollute waterways. Now, a judge issued a tentative ruling today saying there is a lack of evidence for the nuisance and water code claims. The case might only move forward on the violation of the fish and game code. That final ruling is expected next week. And the homelessness crisis is something we talk a lot about on this show. We know that people are very passionate about this. On Tuesday, we told you about the Golden Corral out in South Sacramento. The restaurant's owner is fed up with a nearby encampment. And several of you wrote in this week sharing your concerns and also some of your ideas to tackle this issue. So we want to get to some of your points tonight. One viewer wrote in saying, I live close to the restaurant and that problem has been and is getting worse. The county and city point a finger at each other and no one takes responsibility. Voting and getting involved is crucial in moving on. Another viewer also offering solutions, saying multiple solutions are needed. The main one must be a safety net that catches people before they hit the street. The answer lies in the 230 million homeowners in the United States. If a law could be crafted nationwide that allowed every homeowner to rent out one or more rooms in their home and get a complete tax break in every conceivable way to do so. As always, we love hearing from you. We love when you reach out about our story. So just don't forget that you can always reach out to us at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can always send us a text at 916-321-3310. All right, let's go out to Placer County. A man is dead and a deputy is hurt after a shooting in Colfax last night. The sheriff's office says that deputies found a van in a McDonald's parking lot while on patrol. They say it matched the description of a van involved in a burglary the day before. Deputies say when they approached the van, the man inside was uncooperative.
At some point in time during this contact, the suspect began firing at deputies.
And a deputy and the suspect were shot tonight. The deputy is in critical condition, but is expected to survive. The suspect died at the scene. Tonight, a CHP motorcycle officer is recovering after being hit by a car this morning. It happened along Highway 49 near Shale Ridge Road. The CHP says the officer was going northbound when a driver ran a red light. The driver of the car was not hurt and stayed at the scene. The crash is still under investigation. Still ahead onto the point, the heated clashes between protesters and police as campus protests continue into the weekend.
Temperatures today in the mid to low 80s in the valley. A nice warm and dry day, but big changes coming for your weekend. What you need to know to plan around the rain and snow.
Meteorologist Carly Gomez with a look at our forecast as the weekend's already here, if you can believe it or not.
I know.
Winter weather, though.
Winter weather. We have a warm day. You would never guess it if you saw it maybe years from now. What happened that next day? You're saying, oh, you saw 80s on Friday, and then Saturday you hit around 57 degrees. Yes, a big storm system coming out of the Gulf of Alaska, pulling in some colder Arctic air with it. And yeah, we're in spring, but it's been feeling like summer lately. Winter storm warning in effect from really Saturday 11 a.m. until Sunday 8 a.m. Although we could see some areas around South Lake Tahoe with some of that snow later around lunchtime even. 5 to 12 inches of snow is possible, but the peaks could see as much as 1 foot to 1.5 feet of snowfall. We're looking at most of this snow around the range of 4,000 to 5,000 feet and higher. But into Sunday morning, it could get as low as 3,000 feet into that early morning hour. 30 to 50 mile per hour gusts are expected. Now that low pressure system is really beginning to pull in that cold air with it. You're seeing wet weather in the Pacific Northwest. It's going to be dragging coming in for us into your Saturday morning. And then taking a look at the cloud coverage rolling in overnight, but then 7 a.m. here's where we start to see that line of showers beginning to arrive from Yuba City toward Fairfield and San Francisco. The yellow and orange heavy downpours at time. And as we look at lunchtime, everyone's pretty much getting those downpours across the region, as we will expect this to move to the southeast. Snow begins to start building up in the Sierra into your evening hours, 5 p.m. You're actually starting to see that line here. We actually get some sunshine in between, but that could cause some thunderstorm chances for us into those afternoon, evening hours. Everything begins clearing up for your Cinco de Mayo on Sunday. We'll see some sunshine, but temperatures, they're expected to still be right around those mid-60s. We have thunderstorm chances mostly north of Sacramento here, and this is only about a 15 to 25% chance. But if you do encounter thunderstorms, stay indoors. About a ½ inch to an inch of rain is expected, with as much as 1 to 1.5 inches possible in the foothills. Strong wind gusts also expected for us, about 15 to 25 miles per hour. We'll be in those upper 50s to mid-60s, then 70s turn 80s, and then following weekend into those 90s. We'll be right back.
We want to get you back to some breaking news that we have been staying on top of. I-80 is closed in both directions in Solano County due to a standoff that has been going on for hours. Now, this is video just into our newsroom. An ambulance taking the suspect in this standoff to the hospital. The CHP now telling us it appears the standoff ended with the suspect suffering a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Traffic stretching for miles and miles from the Bay Area into Solano County, all after an hours-long standoff and the chase on the interstate. And back roads are also seeing bumper-to-bumper traffic. Again, traffic has been backed up for miles. The interstate still remains closed in Solano County, and we will continue to bring you updates as we get them into our newsroom. Now to the heated college campus protest. Pro-Palestinian protesters are demanding a ceasefire in Gaza and for their universities to divest from corporations that could be profiting from the war. Now, 2,000 arrests have already been made, and that number is only growing as universities call on police to clear out encampments and shut down escalating protests.
Overnight, a clash between police and protesters at Portland State University.
Leave the building now! Force will be used against you!
Authorities clearing out the PSU library for a second time. Police say at least 30 people were arrested. This comes as disturbing video from Ole Miss shows a crowd of students taunting one protester. Law enforcement appearing to urge her to walk back towards the barricades where other protesters were.
You're arresting kids instead!
In New York City, authorities clearing out encampments at NYU. At least 13 people were arrested. And just down the road, the NYPD also arresting 43 people at the New School.
A good operation. No one got hurt. No incidents. Both institutions are happy.
This comes a day after more than 200 people were arrested at UCLA after a heated clash between protesters and police. Hundreds of officers clearing out this pro-Palestinian encampment. President Biden speaking out Thursday, urging for peaceful protest.
There's the right to protest, but not the right to cause chaos.
And sources say the White House is working to improve campus safety by providing additional resources to law enforcement to protect Jewish communities and also crack down on anti-Semitic acts across college campuses. And protests continued at Sacramento State for the 5th day today. Despite the rain tomorrow, the pro-Palestinian encampment at Sac State is still growing, and the school says that they can stay at least until May 8th. Following violence at other California campuses, state Republicans are calling on college administrators to ask Democratic lawmakers to consider rescinding Cal grants for students who are convicted of criminal acts related to these protests. They also want universities to foot the bill for damage and cleanup instead of the taxpayers. Tonight, in former President Donald Trump's hush money trial, former White House Communications Director Hope Hicks took the stand. Much of her testimony today centered around the Access Hollywood tape released in October 2016, just weeks before the election, where Trump could be heard bragging about being able to grope women by their genitals. Trump is facing felony charges related to the alleged 2016 hush money payment made to Stormy Daniels. He has denied the affair and any wrongdoing, and today, once again, criticizing the judge.
He's allowing things in that have nothing to do with this case, nothing to do with it.
And the judge has confirmed that Trump is allowed to testify during the trial, correcting the former president's false claims yesterday that a gag order prevented him from taking the stand. And it's Friday, which means, of course, it's time to hit the back roads. Tonight, John Bartel takes us up and down the steep streets of San Francisco on the world's last remaining cable car system.
If the old Rice-A-Roni commercial theme song used to get stuck in your head, imagine listening to people sing it every day.
A million times. If I had a penny for every time, I'll be rich.
The Rice-A-Roni theme song may be iconic, but Hector Godinez says it's not as iconic as the cable cars he's been operating for more than 20 years.
It's weird. It's a beautiful, weird feeling when you're driving this cable car.
Cable cars are one of San Francisco's most popular and recognizable tourist attractions. Every day, it takes tourists up and down steep streets and past famous stops like the Fisherman's Wharf and the iconic windy Lombard Street. But on this trip, Carlos is dropping me off at the end of the line to meet his boss Arn Hansen at the Mason Street Cable Car Barn.
This is the cable car barn. We're the only one in the world left, and the only cable cars left in the world, the only moving National Historic Monument.
Most of the cable cars in the barn are over 100 years old, the oldest built in 1887. Arn says he's spent the better part of his life working around these relics and takes maintaining them seriously because they're the last of the last.
There are no other ones in the world.
So if they're gone, they're gone. That's it.
Well, that's why the 1906 earthquake took a few out, but they did rebuild those.
Maintaining and restoring a fleet of antique cable cars is a never-ending job, and few people can repair the archaic mechanics on these people movers.
What is this piece of wood here?
This is a track brake.
This is the brakes?
Yes.
Mechanic Fesimone Copagna says the cable cars may have primitive parts, but they're safe. Cable cars undergo extreme amounts of wear and tear, and some parts, like the wood brakes, which must be replaced every 2 or 3 days, are effective and cheap. But not all parts are cheap.
How often do you have to change these?
This one lasts about 100 to 150 days.
Another piece of equipment that takes a lot of wear and tear are the 4 cables that run under the streets of San Francisco. Each one weaves through a series of pulleys at a constant 9.5 miles an hour.
What does a cable like this cost?
Well, they're good. They're close to 100,000 plus and more for the longer ones. The longest cable we have is over 4 miles long.
Huh. I'm starting to understand why you don't see cable cars around the United States anymore. Very expensive.
Very expensive.
Yes, the cable cars can be expensive to operate, but they've also played a very important part in the early development of San Francisco.
And nobody built on the hills in San Francisco because you couldn't get up there. Yeah. So cable cars opened up the hills to development.
Mike Phipps is the director of the Cable Car Museum, a free museum located at the Mason Street Cable Car Barn. Mike says San Francisco owes a lot to cable cars and inventor Andrew Halliday.
Andrew Halliday and his father came from Scotland. They held a lot of patents for wire rope, which is what we call cable today.
During the gold rush, Halliday's wire rope or cable was used to move heavy gold ore carts up and down mountains because it was durable. In 1873, Halliday started using his cables to move people up and down San Francisco's hills.
It was a success from the beginning. He made a tremendous amount of money, good return on his investment.
Before long, cable car companies were popping up all over the city. For decades, it was the primary way to get around until the 1940s when powerful diesel buses were introduced.
But they elected a mayor in 1944, Mayor Lapham, very famous, Eastern shipping magnate, and he decided that as the war was coming to an end, we needed to get with the times.
At the time, the cable car system was falling apart, and replacing them with buses seemed to be the cheapest option. But an activist by the name of Friedel Klusman started a movement to save the cable cars, which eventually went up for a vote.
And it won 3-1. San Franciscans did not want to see their cable cars ripped out.
And thanks to that vote, cable cars are one of San Francisco's top attractions, moving tourists from stores to restaurants across the city. I guess you could say it's a San Francisco treat. From the cable cars in San Francisco, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads.
And now it's your turn. If you have something you think would be a great road trip destination, make sure you let John know all about it by texting your idea to 916-321-3310. And we'll be right back after this. Back to that breaking news tonight. Some westbound and northbound lanes along I-80 are starting to reopen after an hours-long standoff on the interstate. And this is video of an ambulance taking the suspect in this standoff to the hospital. The CHP now telling us it appears the standoff ended with the suspect suffering a self-inflicted gunshot wound. They say there was only one person in the car and I-80 is still backed up. Back roads are also seeing bumper-to-bumper traffic, and we will continue to follow this and bring you any updates tonight on Late News Tonight at 11. And of course, you can always visit our website, abc10.com, for the latest information. Thank you so much for watching and inviting us into your home. I hope you have a great weekend, and please be safe. Hey, it's Alex. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. The To The Point team and I love hearing from you, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. And don't forget, you can always email me and the team at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send us a text message at 916-321-3310.